body and your residents, but we are here because last night we had a community meeting at the Brookland Middle School to give the community an update on the progress of the building of the new middle school. And the chair, the at-large, Commissioner Jones asked us to come tonight, and we did that. So first, let me start out by saying that for the community members that are here, we did hear you last night, and that we worked with our team today to address some of the concerns that you had. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the presentation for people that are here that don't know about it. And so I'm going to address some of those concerns that the residents that are directly behind or directly, that are most directly affected by the construction. So what has happened thus far, and I'm going to read from one of the presentations that we showed last night. So on our website, and for you guys that have a pen, I'll give cards out after. The presentation that I'm going from is on our website, and that's DGS. DGS.dc.gov. Jackie Stanley is here. She is our community outreach person for the agency, and James Partlow is here. He does all of our digital outreach as well. So I know Brookland specifically is probably the most active in social media, so that's why James is here. So to kind of acclimate you to the school, most of you know that the Brookland Middle School sits on the Michigan Avenue side with the back parking lot facing towards Shepherd Street, and then the Turkey Thicket Recreation Center facing towards 10th Street. So one of the big community concerns that we heard once co-location was off the table was to make sure that parking was adequate for the school as well as the recreation center, and then to make sure that the school provided 60 parking spaces for the teachers and faculty, and then 40 of those would be within the facility. And then if you're familiar with the recreation center, you drive in, but it's really tough for you to drive back out. And so to make it so it's circulated a lot better. And so what we are talking about doing, or what our proposed concept is for the parking, there were two kind of options, or three, to build an above-ground structure, to build a below parking garage, or another alternative, which would be to make the current parking lot larger that's on the rec center. And so the below ground parking structure was a budget buster. The above ground structure would cost about $4.5 million, so that was another budget buster. And so what we talked about is, if you all know where the basketball courts are, is to move that over and make that parking lot larger. And that would cost about a little under $500,000, which was already allotted in the budget, so it wouldn't go outside of the budget that we already had. And so what we would do is provide an additional 20 or so spaces for the teachers to be able to park there. So I'm going to use different props here tonight. If this was the parking lot, so on that side there would be an automatic arm, and on this side there would be an automatic arm that the teachers would have a key fob that they could get into before and after hours. And on the weekends, that the community could use those additional spaces. If the gymnasium was if the recreation center was having an event or function, they could use those as well. It gets a little tricky because people park there, the car might break down there, and then you got to get it towed, and and then that causes, just everybody a headache. So that's why we wanted to put the gates there. So then we show, and let me explain to you how this kind of works. There's what's called a school improvement team. The school improvement team, for short, is called a SIT team, and it's made up of predominantly faculty, staff, and DCPS members, the principal, those type of things that talk about the educational aspects of the school, and that they really focus on the inside of the school. You try to put a couple of community members on the SIT team or the school improvement team, so that those one or two members can tell the community what's happening. You might have an ANC member that's on a school improvement team, not always, because sometimes the ANC is just so overwhelmed with what they have going on that we can come to meetings like this and just update the community. And so that SIT team is approximately 10 to 15 people. You want to have a student or two on there as well. And so they work on the outside. So then what happens is they meet regularly. Well, the DC government has been modernizing schools for the past 6 or 7 years. It really is about 8 years. And now we've become a victim of our own success that you see Wilson, you see Dunbar, and those type of schools. Now, it makes things, construction is always an uncomfortable thing, an inconvenient thing. But what we've tried to do at the Department of General Services, which was just formed 2 years ago in October, is try to reach out to the community more aggressively. So Jackie and I lead that effort, and so now what we do, besides the school improvement team, we have community meetings. Now, some people feel like, did you have the community meeting before the SIT team or after the SIT team? And you want to have the community meeting after the SIT team has started meeting, so that you have something to report out, because it's typically all just conjecture before that happens. So I gave you that part of the education to say that once they figure out kind of the direction they want to go through with the education, then they start to design the facade of the building. But with community input, with the school improvement team, with the DCPS, they start massaging what the outside looks like. And so we have pictures of what the outside of the building looks like. Now, what you find is, through community input, it doesn't always end up to look like it does. So recommendations are made, new things are added, some things are taken away, but this is the beginning. And so they'll massage and say, like, the neighbors across the street will say, that's way too much light shining in my home. You need to darken that, or you need to put some sort of film on it, or blind, or something like that. So what has happened thus far that you've seen and not seen, especially if you don't live directly across, is that we've already gotten through the interior demolition of the school and now have started to take the school down. That will last about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, barring any other unforeseen condition. But 2 weeks is what we anticipate that it'll take to take down the school. We've done surveys of the site. What that means is we've drilled holes to see what's in the foundation, yard lines, where they're supposed to be, which I'll talk about a little bit, erosion control, and then the structural demolition, as I told you. The 2 eastern tennis courts will be taken offline for safety reasons, because they're so close to the construction site, until December 31st, the first of the year. So one thing that we did find that last night we know that was going to cause a pause, some angst, some anxiety, was that the school, and this is where I start to use another prop. So if this is the school, this is just the perimeter of where the existing school is. The gas line for Washington Hospital Center was supposed to be here. When we did our first survey, it said that the gas line was here. The drawings, Washington Gas, said that the gas line was here. Once we start doing our survey holes to test, which is typically part of the construction, the gas line was not here. And so we had to have Washington Gas come out. And so they said it's supposed to be here, but it's not here. So where the existing school sits is probably right here. Where we want the new school to sit is here. So it being here, when they started looking for the gas line, they found that the gas line was over here. So now that would cause a delay in building the new school. Because if you move the school this way, these ladies' houses would be impacted. We've already gone through, we've had a total of 6 community meetings since the summertime about co-location, location, and I see a lot of your faces from the initial meetings. So the idea of where the school is in stone at this point. Now, the gas line typically would take, excuse me so my arm won't fall off, would take typically 4 to 6 months or 3 to 6 months to move because it's the hospital complex. It's an 8-inch gas line and it's about 100 to 150 feet is what I think they told you guys last night. The construction team told you that they need to be able to move. Now, we know that we can move the gas line, but this is the kicker. And I want everybody to listen and pay attention very carefully because this is what your neighbors are upset about, rightfully so. That we're proposing to extend our work hours from 7 to 7, which are our work hours now, which is typical, to 5 a.m. to 12 midnight. Exactly. So we knew that that was going to be an issue. We know that we would have to come to the ANC to get sign off on that. And we heard the community, right? And we knew that we also have what we do that's unique or new to the Department of General Services is we have a perimeter meeting or perimeter outreach for those residents. And so what we did before the project started is try to reach out to those residents. We went 3 times, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and once in the evening to try to reach out to them. Some people aren't home, some people didn't answer, some people didn't respond, others did. And some are very vocal and have participated throughout. And so, before we come to the ANC, before we make any final decision about the work hours, we are working with the design team as well as the construction team, and we have to go talk to this, what we're calling the envelope, to say, hey, this is what we think that we can get done in that period of time, or it'll be a longer project, or we can shorten those hours, and this is what we'll get done. But we have to have that conversation and dialogue. So that is what caused us to come tonight, right? So I'm going to move on, but I'm still talking about the same thing. So I haven't moved on from the work hour piece. I'm just saying, in general, this is what we're thinking. And it's not going to be that long, because I know you got to go home to eat, and I know you're going to have questions, and I know some of you want to beat me up. So I'm ready. And we'll get it all done. And I want to go again on record and back, because it was some mistake last night that someone thought that we were not willing to stay to answer every single question. We know that your meeting has to end at some point. We know you and the audience have lives. I personally don't, so I'll answer every question possible. Some of my foes and some of my friends will beat me up tonight, and that's good. No, you're not that. You're not that. But we have a healthy relationship where we smile and laugh like cartoon characters, and then go to fight, and then say, see you tomorrow. Right? And so that's fine. And it is, because one thing that the Shepherd Street or the Envelope crew said to me is, you have to understand that this is our life, right? That this is what we're going through. And I try to express, I'm going to say them, but she knows who I'm talking to, that I do get it. And I'm not just a messenger. I try to help make the decision that, okay, I'm going to say this, but you know this is not going to, right? So, but I'm under the belief that if we get out of your life as fast as we can so that you can enjoy the facility, or that it'll bring up the property value of your homes. I know you're not trying to hear that right now. In August, when you're enjoying it, it'll be different. So, and I'm okay with that. So, to get back on course, you can't see this. I know you can't. But this is we'll just do a perimeter of the school site. We'll take the 2 tennis courts offline, and we'll start with the foundational work. And that'll be from October to December. A lot of these dates are going to overlap. It's supposed to be that way. We're not going to do this, and then start this, and then start this. We're going to start this, get a certain way, start something else, and keep moving to get finished as fast and effectively as possible. The next thing that we'll do is and because they're double-sided, no. Okay, so the next thing that we'll do is start drilling for the geothermal, which will do the HVAC, the heating and cooling. Those will be on the baseball field. So the baseball field will be taken offline from, I think it's January to March. And then in January, we'll also, closest to the tennis courts that we took offline, will be a service entrance for the trucks. Because in the back of the alley of the school that's closest to the house, we do not want service trucks to go there, because we've heard the community, especially those residents in the back, that in prior years when the school was open, people would come in, park in front of their garages. They would not be able to get out of their garages in the morning and in the evening. So we don't want that to happen. So you can see all of this, but the real controversy from yesterday was about the gas line, right? The other couple of things that we heard and we're dealing with is, we think by the time we're ready, I think this will happen over the next 3 weeks. So DGS will work with the builder and the architect to figure out what can be done at what period of time, meaning hypothetically say that it's 5 to midnight, that the loudest noises happen in that 7 to 7 period. Other work happens after that. One resident said last night he got up at 5 a.m. and he heard the trucks early, right? So so the hours, maybe we can do 6:30 to 9:30 or something like that, right? Is that better? Maybe. Is it great? No. So we want to talk to the residents specifically in that envelope meeting. So we had a meeting scheduled for the 9th, but we're trying to move that meeting until the 14th to accommodate some folks. And their other neighbors have been most accommodating in that, so I think that'll happen. Lighting in the alleyway. Our team is working on, there's no utilities to the site right now, right? There's no gas, no electric, so it's dark. And so we're being cognizant of noise, so if you need light, then you might need a generator. But what the construction team told me today is they're working to see if they can come up with an alternative to get like one of those makeshift utility poles and see if they can get some light with it. I'm not guaranteeing that right now. I'm just letting you know I heard you last night.